How's that for a Friday evening opener? Little Debbie Downer. But no, I think it's true. I think if we can have balance, right, with it would look great if I was the number one hairdresser in the world. Can you deal with the problems that come with that? Right? Or maybe you just want to be a local hairdresser and you live your purpose by beautifying people local to you every day and you can handle that. Right? I don't know. What do you think, Monet?
I think, what you're saying is, let's get real, right? So what does that mean? And since you started this project, and I've been, working with you and all the rest of it. I ask people all the time, what is your purpose? And in fact, I had a conversation with somebody today, and it was, I know what my purpose is. I want to, and she gave me a job. This is
right.
And I was looking for a job. And I was like, but how's that going? Oh, I've been looking for 18 months for this job. I said, do you think that maybe you don't know what your purpose is? Because wouldn't it have been easier if that was your purpose? Do you think? And she was like, no, but that is my purpose. I'm good at that thing. And like, you got to get realistic.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
And she actually got quite upset with me. And I'm like, I'm not here to upset you. But get real. Maybe the reason it's taking you 18 months is because you're stuck on this thing that is a job. And maybe that's not your purpose.
And what you imagine that job will do, right? Because here's the other thing, is that when we are thinking about what we would like to do, like maybe like as a young person, often that translates to who you would like to be. Right? So very rarely do people say, what I would like to do is speak to, I don't know, 20 people a week and help them work through their trauma and process that so that they can unstuck their lives, they can move forward, have healthier, happier relationships, etc. What people will say is, I want to be a psychologist. I want to be a trauma therapist, right? They think about the title, the identity, and what that means to society.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas, can you imagine if your purpose is to shovel shit, like work in sewage, right? And you become a billionaire because you've created the best, most efficient sewage systems that are used all over the world, but nobody has well, somebody does, but like very few people have the imagining of, oh gosh, like when people ask me what I do, right, I can say I am the best shit shoveler in the world. Right? People want this identity, they want the job title, they want what that means to other people. Right? And often that's where people get tripped up, because there's so much weight around credentials, job titles, identity. And it usually starts with family and then it spreads to like friends and like the education system, the amount of conversations. I remember having conversations with my oldest daughter's teacher, who had decided that because my daughter was good at something, that should become her career. And my daughter was like, no, I'm a great student, but I'm going this way. And it was a battle between me and the teacher to allow her, wrong parent, right? Like I've always been like this, to allow her to pursue what she wants to pursue, right? Because other people have great ideas and are, bestowing them on people. So it's like parents, teachers, friends, relatives. Like I grew up in a family where distant relatives had a say or thought they had a say in my life and what I should do because they thought I was good at this or I could achieve a goal that was great for the family or the family name, right? So a lot of times I think when we think about purpose and following our purpose, the work is to get realistic, but also to go really within and try and shut out the outside noise and connect with what is it that I really want to do? What is it that lights me up? What am I interested in? What do I pursue naturally without anybody bringing it to my attention? And then I think once we start to get a sense of that, the idea then is to really figure out, how do I best live that? Not based on goals and outcomes, but based on showing up every day. Because here's the thing, I think when it does come to things like money, relationships, and everything else that can come along with your purpose, I think let that be what it may be. And that is not a popular idea. But some people will be pursuing certain identities because they'll meet a richer person, a nicer person, a this, that, and the other person. Then they've got the ideal marriage, right? But are miserable at home. Or they will make this much money and they'll have the house, the car, but then a ton of debt, and then they're miserable paying off debt, right? So it's almost like, if the focus is, this is what gives my life meaning every day, and yes, I want to generate an income from it, and yes, I want to make sure that there's a certain level of happiness and joy and satisfaction, great, right? We live in a real world. We do have to pay for things, right? That's how the world works. But some of the goals are outrageous and for the wrong reason. And then the problems that come with those goals, a lot of people are not equipped to deal with. And that is, I think, a really big indicator as to whether people have really connected with their actual purpose. Does that make
Yeah,
sense? Can you
it
handle
does.
the problems that comes with it?
Mm.
Do you have satisfaction? Like, we all have that place, that point within us where it's like, as long as I make enough money and I can do this every day, oh my God, that is living the dream, right? So if a lot more of us could get in touch with that, we're more likely to be living our purpose. And then the money comes, right? It does what it's supposed to do according to your chart, right? If you're supposed to be rich and you're homeless, living in your car and completely broke, someone could die tomorrow and now you're a billionaire. Because if that's what's meant to happen, it's going to arrive for you, right? You don't actually have to do much for it to happen. But if you are so happy being homeless, living in your car, then do that. You might still live in a car, just a nicer car, right? When you
Yeah.
inherit. It's like, let's stop chasing the external bright flashing lights and really go within, but get realistic about what we find meaning in, but also, can we handle the other side of that? I don't know, that might have been a long-winded way of saying it with lots of examples. But I think this is where I have seen people trip themselves up, where they are pursuing an identity, a job title, a position in society over that thing inside that is calling them over and over
And
again.
the I'm good at. I'm
Yeah.
good at this thing. So okay, so what? You know, that doesn't mean that's your thing. Yeah. It doesn't mean
Because a
it's
lot
not
of
your
us are
thing.
good at a lot of things, right?
Yeah. But also, if you've been struggling for 18 months to find a job at that thing, maybe the universe is trying to tell you something. Yeah, maybe it's not that.
There's a block for a reason. But I always
Yeah.
say that, like, pain is the doorway to your purpose, right? So if it's not painful enough after 18 months, she's got to keep going another 6, right? Because at some point it will become so painful that she will completely divorce the idea and find herself just pointing towards something else. So maybe she has to follow that route to get to that painful point, because she's chasing something that is likely not her purpose?
Well, that's the thing is, I think we had a long conversation about, well, not a long conversation, but a pretty in-depth conversation about what is your purpose. And I'm not sure if you're going to touch on it in any of the chats or if we can talk about it today, but she went onto the app, she put in all her details. Interestingly enough, she knew exactly when she was born. And
And don't you love that moment?
right? Who knows that?
Yeah. Who are you? How do you know your bedtime? But
And
yeah.
well, I think her mom's still alive, so I think she could ask her. And
Okay.
you know how many mothers don't remember? It's also crazy. Like I've had
Mine,
some
it
friends,
took
she
me
doesn't
years to
remember.
rectify my chart.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
But then
And she only had
she
one
went.
child. Wow. But anyway.
Yeah. Right.
Oh
Crazy.
dear.
And then when she went on to it, she's like, I have no idea what it means. I don't know what it means. What does it mean?
Right. So what did she see where she said, what does
You
it
you just
mean?
remember she went in with a
Yeah.
job in mind. I've got.
Right.
I know what I'm good at. I know I'm good
Right.
at this job. And
Yeah.
now she sees and I'm like, and I'm trying to have a conversation and saying, but after 18 months of looking, maybe just are you open to possibilities? Maybe.
Yeah.
And she's like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm on the app. I don't know what you mean. What do you mean? What does this
Yeah.
mean?
So
It's like,
did she get her purpose archetype? And then
yeah,
she's
she's the
like, what
bridge.
does that mean? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And she's like, what does this mean? And I said, okay, well, go to Shariel. And I went through the whole thing.
Yeah.
And she was like, I don't understand what it means. And that's when it hit me that you think you know what your purpose is, so you're actually not even open to anything else. There's
Well,
that
maybe,
possibility.
yeah, maybe it's not that she's not open. Maybe it's that she hadn't considered
Yeah,
that
yeah. Sorry, that's
the app would tell her something different,
yeah.
right? So, or maybe, so is the language clear in the app? Because that's my first thought. It's like, is this language to like
Well,
highbrow, to
she landed
ethereal,
on the
to,
bridge and she read it, and I could see, and she read it 3 or 4 times. But I said to her that tomorrow I'll sit and I'll go through it with her. But
yeah.
I could see she was closed
Oh,
because
okay.
she has she thinks she knows, and so she's not open
To
to
hearing anything else.
anything
But there's
else. Yeah,
something in her that's curious, right? Because she did go on the app
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
have a look. And I think, so I'm a bridge. So the soul archetypes are generational according to a Uranus
I'm also
placement.
bridge. Yeah, yeah.
And so I get how that might be a little bit vague to somebody who has a very clear, defined path that they think they are on, or a goal that they want to achieve, right? And this is where it can get quite painful because there might be elements of her purpose showing up in what she's pursuing,
Mm.
right? So I'll give you a great example. If somebody is really good with their hands, and let's say, for example, they're a hairdresser. I don't know why. Yesterday it was makeup artist, today it's a hairdresser. And they really just like enjoy playing around, with people's hair and styling it and all the rest of it. But actually, while they like braiding people's hair, what they should be doing is weaving, right? Making fabrics, like maybe knitting, crocheting, or something like that. So they'll be working as a hairdresser, braiding hair, doing bits and pieces, making a basic income, a little bit tied on their feet all day. The day they pick up crochet needle, knitting needle, a weaving loom, and they still are working with their hands and their fingers and they're really, really good at it, they'll start making things that sell for thousands and thousands of pounds. Because being good with your hands, you can be a pickpocket and be good with your hands, right? You can
Yeah,
play the piano and be
yeah,
good with
yeah,
your
yeah.
hands. Back in the day, you'd have been a typist, right? Like there are so many things that you do with your hands or your fingers that you'll be like, yeah, but I'm really good with my hands. But you didn't quite get the application right. So you're getting by, or you're feeling like there's some kind of alignment here, but you haven't hit the sweet spot. Does that make sense? So
Yeah, yeah.
my purpose is very much aligned with the sign of Gemini, and Gemini rules communication, speaking. I never run out of words. I've always been a writer. I've been a poet. I've written books. I used to write sales orders, give me something to write. I used to sell estate planning services. I had a whole company around writing wills, right? It's very Gemini. And none of those things connected as much as when I worked in a sales role. Right. And what was I doing? I was on the phone all day, every day, doing deals. Right. Gemini rules mobile devices, it rules communication, it rules conversation, it rules writing. So I'd pick up the phone, I'd speak to people, they'd do the deal, and I would sign contracts. Like, it was, I would do deals where people would be like amazed. And I kind of collided with that industry. I didn't even know it existed. I moved to London and was offered a very low paid job, some like £200 a week plus commission, not knowing that I would be doing £1 million deals.
Wow.
Right? How could I have known? But it was the application, right, of using all of those Gemini skills to make these things happen. So before that, I played musical instruments. That's still very Gemini. I learned foreign languages, was great at that, very Gemini. But I'm not a translator, and I don't like work for an orchestra, right? So good and good enough, but that wasn't my genius point. That wasn't where I was brilliant. That wasn't where I was great. So what tends to happen is we can do things that almost like utilize aspects of our purpose, and we can keep ticking along doing that for a long time before we actually hit the point where we are brilliant and our purpose really comes alive. So maybe there are aspects of what she's pursuing that is why she believes she should do that, because maybe she's good at something that is related to that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I mean, she's
Yeah.
into teaching. She's a physical education, so swimming, Pilates, things like this. And she wants to teach at a school because she thinks she's good at that. And then I threw in the mix and said, well, why don't we go look at universities? And she's like, no. You know, I said, why not? Because she's so, well, she doesn't feel that, she has the knowledge.
No,
And
why did you suggest universities?
Oh, because I've been doing some moves with her because we're sharing the apartment at the moment. And she has this way of explaining to me what we're doing. And it's almost like the theory of it. And I said to her, that's lecturing. That's how you lecture. That's how you tell students you're doing this and this is why you're doing it. And she didn't see that. She doesn't see that side of it. She's just like, oh, no, I could never lecture. And I'm like, but you already do.
And
in a
that's
way.
the bridge.
Mm.
Right? You're a
Yeah,
lecturer, you're a bridge.
Yeah.
I'm a teacher of sorts.
Yeah.
I'm a bridge.
And that's
So
why I
what?
immediately recognized it in her because I know it. Yeah.
And it's so
She doesn't
easy
see.
for us to see it in other people, right? And not see it
Yeah.
in ourselves so much.
Yeah.
But that's what the bridge does. So the bridge is it's about communication. It's about taking something that can be like foreign, complex, like not easily understood, and translating it so that people can pick it up and work with it really easily. And it sounds like that's what she does every day, naturally.
Naturally,
But for some reason, she's drawn to, what is it, PE with kids?
Teaching physical education.
So she's got a comfort zone around that and is avoiding. So she's probably, I'd love to look at her chart. So later on, you have to like get her permission, and let me have a look at a chart. And then I can explain to her what it is that she's doing, because we all have a comfort zone in our charts where if we're afraid of going to the edge where we grow, we collapse back into the comfort zone, right? And the comfort zone, it just feels great and it's easy and we don't have to worry anymore, but then we're not growing and we become stagnant and we're definitely not heading towards our purpose, right? So that would be really interesting. But the fact that you could spot that in her, that is the bridge. And so the archetypes in the app are they're quite general, and you have to keep going in the app using the prompts. So you'll get like a daily prompt every day based on your chart, based on what's happening in the sky. Even though people don't always have to want to use astrology or be interested, that's just what powers it. But it's like those daily prompts will have you thinking, oh, so have I really dealt with this, right? Or why do I need to do that? Like, I don't need to worry about that. But if you follow those prompts, things will start opening up for you. And that's when you start to get awareness. So it sounds like she's maybe not got the awareness of what it would be to lecture, and she's going with what is comfortable.
Yeah, and she actually got totally overwhelmed, actually, which is why I said to her, listen, let's look at it tomorrow. Like, it was so foreign for her. And I think the app will do that for some people. You'll initially, I think, have a little bit of a resistance to it. Like, no, that isn't me, or that's not what I want, or I know what I want, you know?
Yeah.
And so
I have that with the couples synastry a lot, especially when I'm not getting the guidance that I would like, that I have decided, and when I am now part of the problem, right? Because this is the thing about the app, it's impartial. So when you sit in consultation, it's another human being. There's going to be some opinion, partiality, but also that person has their own filter, their own traumas, their own whatever. With the app, it's so impartial that when I use the app and I'm like, this is the situation, this is what he said, this is what I think, how do we move forward? And then the app turns around and says, well, you, Shereel, should do X, Y, Z. I'm like, whoa. Like, hold on.
I'm not the problem.
You didn't hear what I said. Let me repeat what I said. And then the app's like, you already asked me this question. Right? Now go and do something different. But it's that impartial nature that does alarm sometimes. But this is the thing. Like, if we keep doing what we've always done, we're going to get what we've always had. Right?
Yeah.
I think for most of us, of course, we want something different, right? We are trying to call in a life that just feels more aligned with who we are as people. Many of us are trying to just live a more authentic life where we actually are really content just being ourselves without having to perform or put a mask on or pretend or fit in or whatever. And that's work, because we've been conditioned to thy kingdom come, and we've got to reverse a lot of that conditioning and then find a way forward to be able to just get up every day and have some peace about what we choose to do. You know, that is like work. That is a lot of work, whether it's relationships or purpose, right? And it's all connected. But having to do something different and then be challenged by an AI powered app can be a little bit overwhelming. I get it. You know, like, it's a lot sometimes, and we're not always in that place. But I do think that more and more people are coming to this place just because of what's happening in the world, and in a lot of the environments that we operate in.
Yeah.
So,
but to get back to the thing of and I said, people knowing what their purpose is. I've a few places now read, and I think one lady was saying in a comment on the purpose code, and I read it somebody else somewhere. So twice I saw it where the person says, and I think you spoke about it yesterday, I know what my purpose is, I'm just not getting around to it, or whatever. And I'm like,
Yeah.
do you know? Because if you did, you would be around. You would have gotten around. So I think that's the other interesting thing. People have this perception that I'll get there. I will do it one day.
Yeah. And I think this is where we can talk about being realistic, right? Because I don't know if people do understand what purpose is.
Yeah.
And there are some people that say that purpose doesn't even exist, right? That there's no such thing as purpose. You'll never have your purpose. Stop chasing it. Stop looking for it. You'll never find it. There's no such thing as purpose. Just get a job, go to work, pay your bills and pay your taxes, and everything will be fine, right? So purpose is, for me, not for me, this is what purpose is, right? I'm not even going to justify it. So purpose is the soul's intention for this lifetime. Everything is intentional. Everything. Energy is intentional. Plants are intentional. Animals are intentional. Human beings are intentional, right? Your soul is born into a certain generation for a reason, into a certain family for a reason, into a certain location for a reason, and to create, make, or do something that has that soul, resolve karma, move forward, and get closer to the universal energy of love. Not the ooey gooey romantic love, but the universal energy of love, which is peace, harmony, equilibrium, balance, right? So if a soul has an intention, there are a set of duties that must be completed for that soul to arrive at its intention. So this is what some people call your mission in this lifetime, right? And if you think about movies like Star Wars, they know, these guys know, right? This is why the hero's journey and the heroine's journey are universal stories, right? Because people have purpose, their life has a meaning. And if you have a mission, if you have a duty to perform in this lifetime, some people call it dharma as opposed to karma. And other people call it destiny, right? This is your purpose. And if you know that, here's where purpose becomes magical. If you know that you are fit for your purpose, that you are built, designed, created for that purpose, that you are here to live, wouldn't life just be so much easier? You're perfectly formed for your purpose. You are fit for your purpose. The way you show up, the way you operate, the way you think, the way you feel, the way you relate to other people, the things that you just want to do naturally. Think about small children. If you see a room full of 18-month, 2-year-old toddlers, you see all of their personalities. You see the robust one, the one that wants to sit in the corner, the one that cries a lot, the one that laughs a lot, the one that rolls over a lot, the one that takes their nappy off, the one that takes their clothes off, the one that puts everyone's shoes on, right? You just see that they are fit for their purpose. And that's what gets conditioned out of us. So we get to a stage in life where it's too uncomfortable, too painful to live according to conditioning. And the soul creates scenarios that get us back on track with our purpose.
Okay. Yeah. Why do you think we don't naturally gravitate to our purpose?
A lot of people do.
Okay. But a lot of people don't.
Yeah, because of conditioning. So this is why it's like everything is useful. Nothing is wasted. So the family you're born into, let's say you're born into a family where there was a lot of adversity, you needed that adversity for your purpose, right? And if we talk about being real, there are certain things in life that will never terrify me or intimidate me because of the way I was raised and the people I was raised around, right? I was raised around very loud, very shouty, quite intimidating people. So I go out into the world and I can sell to anyone because I'm not afraid of rejection, I'm not afraid of banter, and I'm not intimidated easily, right? There's some skills that you need to be able to like go and do big deals with people that you've never met before, right? Other people are born into families where the families are very creative, very musical, for example, or artistic. That person goes on to be a world-class fashion designer or something. So not only did they have the skill, they were nurtured in the right environment for their purpose. So nothing is wasted. It's all about awareness. So this is what we call awakening or waking up to. So there are stages that the soul goes through, right? We're born into consensus or like the dim phase. Like some people are just so closed off. Some people are sleepwalking through life. No awareness of anything, no intuition, not feeling connected to anyone or anything. And then as we go through life, things happen that allow us to awaken a little bit or develop more awareness. So often our purpose is tied to our level of awareness. So as a child, I would read the horoscopes in the newspaper. I remember buying a book about dreams from like a little charity shop. I remember buying a book about horoscopes and the zodiac. It's not because I was like, one day I'm going to be an astrologer. I was just interested. What is this? I read all the encyclopedias about space, about planets, but also the ones about animals and plants and trees, right? It's like you do these things and it's not wasted. It's all useful. And as we go through life, we either go through the conditioning or we break away and move towards awareness. So things happen in life, like not getting a job for 18 months, that will force you to awaken. She just needs another level of awareness, right? Like somebody dies, death is the great awakener. Somebody dies, your whole identity changes because that person's no longer with us on earth. They're now in energy form. Is life worth living anymore? Like, does it have the same meaning as when that person was hit? Right? Or, just things happen. People get ill, that will awaken them. There are so many things that happen, and we start to develop awareness that there is greater meaning to life than the things that we've been conditioned to believe.
Yeah.
So some people are just born into a stage of the soul's evolution where they're already individuated or they're already spiritual. So they could care less about what society's got to say. They're born with a knowing and an understanding and an awareness that there's just more out there.
Yeah. You know what I think of? That lady you said at the show that said to you, "Oh, I know what my purpose is, but I work for my husband." and it's like,
Let's hope she's
yeah.
not watching this, but probably not.
Well, you know what? I think there's millions of ladies like that.
That is
I
very
don't
true,
think
actually.
I don't think there's one lady.
That is very true. That is
Yeah,
very
yeah.
true. And this goes back to a little bit about what we were speaking about yesterday, which is the skip step, right? Or the thing that we avoid and try and get around instead of going through, because the idea of doing that work or not having the awareness that that even exists means that we're busy doing something else instead of working through our purpose. And let's be clear, right? The idea around being real and keeping it real is that your purpose isn't easy. Otherwise, it's not easy to live your purpose. sometimes there's no choice, right? I'm unemployable, and I've said this for a couple of decades. I had to work for myself. I didn't have a choice. And even when I worked for companies, I was a consultant, right? So that wasn't an option for me. So it was always, and I remember years ago having an astrology consultation with somebody who actually became my first teacher, who has passed now. But he said to me, "Oh, you should never work for yourself." And I was like, "Excuse me?" He was like, "No, it doesn't work for you." And I was like, "Well, there's something wrong here. We've got to fix something." And my birth chart was wrong because my mum had given me the wrong time. And we worked through it, figured it out. And he's like, "Yeah, never work for anyone." And I was like, "I wasn't planning on it." But that's because there's a point in my chart which is called the Pluto polarity point. My Pluto's in Libra. The polarity point is at 1 degree of Aries. Aries is the entrepreneur. So in this life, I was destined to do the hard work of transforming myself, to work for myself, to be a trailblazer, an entrepreneur, to go first. I mean, 1 degree of the first sign, you can't be more entrepreneurial, right? So it's something that I'm unemployable, right? Thank goodness though, because I didn't ever want to get hooked on anything, especially not a salary. But it's like there's something around having a level of freedom in terms of how I work, when I work, who I work with, who I work for, that lights me up. And it's the complete opposite of a job. I work probably 3 times the amount of hours I would if I had a job. I work with at least 10 times more people than if I had a job. There'd be rules around the amount of people that you work with, right? Or the hours that you do. I break all of those rules, but I have capacity for the most part to do that. So living your purpose isn't easy. It does mean you're going to have to break some bonds. It does mean that you're going to have to stop being responsible for the people's emotions, right? And it also means that you're going to have to find your way in the wilderness, because often there isn't a path, right? There isn't always a blueprint. And when we start out living our purpose, it can feel really isolated because we often don't meet other people living the same purpose until we're on the path.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah, what you said there, if I think about this lady who's in her 50s and is exactly what you said, is like this, to do something new now in her mind is just exhausting, you know, and it is exhausting. It can be exhausting, but
yeah,
but I mean, once you're there or on your way, it could be so rewarding.
it's
But
so
it's that
rewarding.
I
Yeah.
know this thing and I'm used to this thing and I can do this thing so well. I want to do this thing. Okay, but if it isn't your purpose, then what is the work? What is the, and it's not going to, it doesn't have to be, but it can be tough and it can be scary. And,
Yeah. Of course it is. It's intimidating. It's like it's the great unknown, right? And if
yeah.
we've been conditioned well enough, it's crazy, right? So the idea of not just following the path laid out for us, of not just taking the advice from friends and family members, we're the crazy ones. Do you know what I mean? And that's what a lot of people are up against. So it does take a lot, but I think that's why sometimes people just have to be broken wide open to just choose to follow their purpose. And that's why I say that pain is the doorway. You have to just be so sick and tired and so done with whatever it is that you've been trying to achieve to really turn towards, I don't care, like, I'm just going to do this thing that I feel like I need to do. Like, I remember going from working in these city offices in London, where I was doing all of this sponsorship and all of these like big sales for all these TV shows and events, to deciding now I'm going to be a psychotherapist. Crazy. Like, that was like, that, it just didn't even make sense unless you knew that at 16 I wanted to study psychology, and my family said, no, you must either do law or business. Right? I should have done psychology when I should have done psychology. Right? But full circle moment, we're right back here. And going from that to then adding in the spiritual tools and the soulful work, like, there's no blueprint for the work that I do. And if there is, I haven't met it. I've not found it. But it's a combination of all my experience, the things that I've learned, the things that I'm interested in, and like just learning and training and developing and practicing, and you create something that resonates with people, that actually gets people results, and you're like, this is what we're doing. But that had to come out of me. There's nothing out there that I could look at and say, oh, I'm going to be that, because it often doesn't exist. But everything that I did before is useful. That's all part of what I do now. So I had to learn to sell, had to learn about marketing, had to learn to deal with people no matter where they were in the world. I do that every day now.
Yeah. And
You know
and
what I
and
mean?
it's,
So
yeah, you talk about the wisdom, which is interesting. I think a lot of people either take that for granted or they don't even factor it in. They don't even think
what's that?
about
The
that.
wisdom.
Yeah, what you already have. You already come with so
Yeah.
much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I think if people were, so like, if people were more self-accepting, they'd connect with that a little bit more. But often, you know, it's all conditioning, right? But sometimes there's trauma and there's wounding, and you know, it does take a lot to get to the place where you don't care what people have to say about you, right? And this is why I'm not a fan of the education system the way it is. And I know that some people are doing the best they can with what they've got, but that environment does not allow children to individuate, right? It's an industrialized education system, unless you're in the very, very top private schools. And once people can become really certain of their natural way of being, their knowledge, their knowing, the thing that they're interested in, the thing that they do in flow, right? That's another good indicator. So like, are you not noticing the time pass when you do your thing? As in when you create what it is that you sell or that you offer or that you use to serve people. If the time just flies by and you're just in flow, great sign that it's tied to your purpose. And when people are allowed to go with that, whether other people understand it or not, they're far more likely to get there. But if people are reprimanded, stop telling jokes, it's annoying. This could be the next like big comedian that helps so many people through humor. But they're told every day, stop being silly, stop doing pranks, stop telling jokes, shut up, shut up, shut up. That conditioning or trauma is like, they will never tell a joke. They've missed their calling or their purpose. You see what I mean? So
Yeah.
it requires the people around us to be a little bit allowing, but then for us to develop that resilience to say, this is who I am, and you got to take me or leave me, which is hard.
Yeah.
It's really tough to do that. And then it's really hard to explain to people what you're doing while you're developing it. Right? And then people are just like, you do what now? Or you're who now? What? And if it doesn't compute for them, that will make people be like, oh, I better not. This is stupid. It doesn't make sense. Right? Because we need validation sometimes.
Yeah, well, we've had this chat. That's my family. It's like, get a job. I'm like,
Yeah.
I work 7 days a week. Like, I have
Yeah.
a job. And then they're like, yeah, but you don't get paid. I was like,
Yet.
but yet, and for them, but
Yeah.
and you do get that. If I didn't have so much self-belief and belief that I'm working towards something specific, I would have already, said, okay, well, let's go get a job, and I'll do this another time. And I think
Yeah.
that's what a lot of people do, right? But it is
Yeah.
your family. And I actually had to sit them down a few weeks ago, and I had to go, okay, listen, guys, you're either with me, what is that?
Or
What is
against
it?
me. Like,
Yeah, with
yeah.
me, without me, with me, without me. That Tom
Yeah.
Cruise movie is like, are you in or are you
Or
out?
you're
Because if you're
out.
out, cut up. I don't want to hear
Yeah.
from you.
Yeah.
You
It's
know?
tough. It is tough.
Yeah.
I would never say that
Mm.
um living your purpose is going to be easy.
Mm.
And even when you make the transition and you are doing it every day and you're getting paid and you have clients, or you're doing the thing that you're destined to do every day, it still feels shaky as hell,
Mm.
right? Because we're taught that a safety net is a job, a salary. You get this many days paid holiday a year. That's how you pay for your home. That's how you make sure you have somewhere to live. That's how you make sure you have a car to drive. That's how you get to go on holidays, blah, blah, blah. And I understand how that construct has been made, but it's not real. It's an illusion, right? And
Mm.
if we think about human beings and humanity and the nature of humans, we are supposed to get up and hunt every day. We are, what is it, hunter gatherers? We're supposed to get up each day. And part of what we do each day is we go and we gather, we hunt and we gather. We come back, we eat what we killed or what we gathered. We sleep, we rest, we relate, we look up at the stars, and tomorrow's another day.
Mm.
And we were taught, for some reason, don't hunt and gather every day. Whatever you do, please just come here every day where we can monitor you and we'll give you a small amount of money at the end of each month. Just enough to stop you from rioting.
Yeah, to be comfortable. Yeah.
Yeah. For
Mm.
them to be comfortable, because we're never
Mm.
comfortable,
We're always
right?
living on that edge. Yeah.
But when you're living your purpose, you will hunt and gather every day. And that doesn't feel safe. Because if a couple of days go by and you've not hunted or gathered,
You're
right,
not going
then a
to.
little alarm goes off. Oh dear, right? But the practice of hunting and gathering under whatever guise your purpose is really, really important.
Mm.
That is the natural human way of being. So just like we wake up every morning, go to sleep every night, hopefully, that we breathe air in every day, that we need to drink water every day, we need to hunt and gather. It is a part of who we
Mm.
are. And when we're not living according to our nature, things start to go wrong. So even in terms of like, if we talk about money, but people don't want to sow a seed to get a harvest, right? There are seasons. There are times where money is just like abundantly overflowing. That's called a harvest. And there are
Mm.
times where your money might not be so abundant, right? That's like the winter. There are no crops. Did you store well, right?
Mm.
You should reap what you sowed.
Mm.
And when people start to understand these ancient concepts, they can look at things differently. But because people have been conditioned to a monthly salary, a weekly salary, they've forgotten about this. But if you were ever a farmer in a previous life, you kind of know that naturally. So strong Taurus, you're a farmer. You know about seasons. And
Mm.
in astrology, one of the most powerful things I learned early on was that there are seasons where I'm extremely abundant and seasons when I'm not. And most of us have 3 seasons a year. And I can tell you, based on your birth chart, when you're likely to have a lot of money coming in and when you're not going to have a lot of money coming in. And I can tell you when to run your new business, and I can tell you when to call your old clients back, and I can tell you so many things about your personal seasons based on your chart that it will blow your mind. But once you understand your rhythms and you get with those rhythms, that takes away a lot of the uncertainty. But who's going to teach you when people just want to give you a salary every month just to keep you quiet?
And in the app, we're going to deal with some of that stuff, right?
We're going to deal with all of it. Timing, rhythm, seasons. Because just like this lady's been trying to get a job, she's obviously not in the season for getting a job or getting the job she wants, right? But here's the thing, there will be something in her birth chart that says, first of all, this is the wrong path. But second of all, you shouldn't be doing this right now. And if you can't interpret that in a birth chart, then you're going to be clueless, really upset, and like just so confused. When you can see what your timings are, not only can you prepare for them, right? If you know you're coming into a cold season where there's going to be no new harvest, you can start saving. You can start putting money aside. Or you can be like, I won't do any big campaigns then. I'll just be delivering through that season, right? You can manage things. So you can prepare. But also, if you're aligned with your seasons and you know that you should be selling in a certain time frame, you'll make enough money for the whole year. Think about ice cream vans. They just know their seasons, right? They don't try and make money all year long.
Yeah. And when you, and yeah, if I think about it, if you know you're going to have a slow season or whatever you want to call it, sounds weird now when I say it like that, but and you have this idea, that's when you test your idea. So okay, I may not be making money, but I may test an idea. So let me put it out, get a whole lot of people, let's do what proof of concept, and then when my season comes around again, I start again. How nice to know that I can, because we never really have the time to breathe and to do something new, something exciting. And I'm excited to know, well, when can I test something, and know that, the money's not going to come rolling in, but if it's a successful test, then the money comes whenever it can, in that time.
And I think that's important because a big aspect of your purpose is creativity. And I think that it can be so easy to lose your creativity or forget that we are creators. And just because I'm not an artist that can like draw and paint, I create in other ways. And we all have capacity to create. So if you knew that you had a month or two coming up where it was just going to be really quiet, what would you choose to create? I've got 8 weeks. I'm going to create something from scratch. What is it that I want? And then what would you do to feed that creativity, knowing that you're not in a sales season? You're in the season where you create something that you're going to sell for the next 5-10 years or something like that. Wouldn't that be amazing? And then you'd like take yourself off to galleries or into nature, or you'd travel a little bit. You'd go where you're inspired. You'd read, you'd watch documentaries, you'd learn so that you have something to work from so that you can create, right? And when you know that you have a creative season coming up, as opposed to a commercial season where you're going to have to sell and market, but the minute you put something out, people are buying it, you're going to act completely differently. So if you try and sell something in a season where you should be creating, the reality is you're going to say, no one wants to buy this. This is never going to work.
And walk away from something that might be good.
Right. And this is where we get to, that little cartoon with the diamond mine and the man's been digging for ages. You see the picture is this far away and he walks away. It's because he didn't know how close he was. With the purpose code, you can know.
Mm,
You
mm.
can know this is a great time to create something. This is a great time to launch it. This is a great time to deliver it. And just having that knowledge is a game changer when you are living your purpose and so many other things are uncertain. You want to be certain that, one, I'm doing what I should be doing, right? My soul archetype, I'm a bridge, I'm a healer, I'm a mystic, whatever it is. And for me, that translates to somebody who coaches people, heals people, teaches people, um, creates things for people, right? Whatever it is that you should do. And once you know that, and then you know that you've got these 3 seasons in the year where you can get new customers, you can develop
Great.
your product, you can, expand, you can start scaling your business. So, for example, there's a season in terms of years for scaling business. And you may or may not have noticed that Uranus has got into Gemini and AI is a bigger topic than it was last year. And it's being used way more. And
So
it's
much more.
now in the hands of the common folk, i.e., me. And Uranus in Gemini, because my purpose is tied to Gemini, I've been waiting 8 years for this season. Right? So it's not that I didn't have certain ideas or want to do things, but the energy wasn't aligned with me building my own app myself. So it's not that I wasn't going to build an app or use technology. I just wasn't able to do it with my fingers until Uranus got into Gemini, which first happened last July. And the first thing I did was write a book in 4 days and start thinking of ideas. And then I want to say Mercury retrograde in Pisces in March was when the apps started to percolate. And in record time, the app arrived because Uranus in Gemini is supersonic speed. It has you do things in record time. Now, if you know that and you have an idea or you start to think about ways to do things differently, and you know that the energy is conducive to you doing something, you give it a try and it happens for you.
And then also, just remember, you also ended up doing something that you were quite uncomfortable doing, which was the wellness
Exhibition,
expo. Yeah,
very
and
uncomfortable.
and look at that. I mean,
Yeah,
that was a huge success. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like, let's be real, right? We're going to have to do some things that we don't really want to do. And
We don't
that
know
is
we
what,
can do. Yeah.
right. And that is what
Mm.
purpose looks like.
Mm.
It looks like there's no comfort zone, there's no safety net, but it's almost as if you're held because you're aligned with what your soul's intention was for this lifetime. And that is so energetic and ethereal, and there's no walls to it, there's no floor or ceiling, but you are being held because you're doing what you came here to do. And
And
so,
scary
as
and
that's
exciting.
why it's scary,
Yeah.
because there's nothing to see, right? You're flying and the plane's being built around you. And the very idea that you're being supported by unknown forces just because you've accepted your purpose, you've accepted the challenge, and you are intentionally every day doing something that aligns with your purpose, you'll just keep colliding with that destiny over and over again. Because what happens is the universe conspires to make those stepping stones appear just in time for you to take a step forward. It's all very Lord of the Rings, it's all very mystical, but it's true. This is lived experience. I'm not talking about my fantasy or I've made it up or whatever. It's true. This is lived. The minute you say, I'm done, so it could be something like if I don't get some money this week, I don't know how I'm going to pay this rent. I don't know I'm going to stay here any longer. I don't know what's going to happen. You might not get the money, but for some reason, you get an extension on paying your rent, which is just long enough for you to get the money and pay the rent. So it doesn't mean that money miraculously just rains down on you, but something else will open up to allow you, almost signaling, keep going. You're on the right track. Keep going. You can do it. You'll make it. So yeah, universe conspires to support purpose, but nothing that we've been taught supports it, right? Because we've been taught to be industrial lab rats. And it's so weird because I'm a rat in Chinese astrology. If you know anything about Chinese astrology, go look it up. It'll tell you a little bit about me. It's
I
like
think I'm a pig.
Confessions of a Chinese Rat. But that tells you a lot about the way that I move in life. But yeah, I think the general idea is that don't get into the fairy tale of purpose. Don't get into the, the movie that, yeah, keep it real. Like, deal with reality, introduce reality often. Like, think about the problems that your purpose might bring. And if they're things that you're like, God, it might be a bit tough, but I can deal with that. I've dealt with that before, or I've dealt with worse, or okay, that's a good indication that that is your purpose. Right. So,
and the app is the container and the support.
Yes.
And the guide, and like you say, it's the airplane. You may be flying, and the airplane may be built while you're flying, but it's that the support.
If you want a container, if you want guidance, if you want to feel like there is somebody or something there in those moments where you have like head loss, you're confused, or you're like, I can't do this, that is what the app is for. And I think one of the things that has surprised me, right, because I built this app based on downloads, we'll save that for another live. So I didn't have certain expectations of what it would do. But since people have been using the app, and thank you to all my founding members, I have a founding charter, which I'll be releasing soon. You're all going to be very pleased, I hope. But as soon as people started using the app, even in the very early days, and it was brown and yellow, and somebody said, I can't read yellow writing. And I was like, oh, shit, better change it. The feedback started to inform the work going forward. And one of the things that resonated immediately, one of the things that came into my awareness really, really quickly was that not only do people have this guidance and this support, but they have it when they need it the most. And don't get me wrong, I do have clients message me at 3:00 in the morning because of time zones, but you're not going to get an answer. You want an answer because you're going through God knows what, you need the app. Because we have mobile phones, everybody has them. And if you're really disciplined, then you won't have it in your bedroom at night or whatever. But if you're having sleepless nights, if you are stressed over something that you've tried to deal with over and over again, and you just can't catch a break, that app will give you answers that you would never be able to think of. And I say that as the person that created it, and I still use it every day. And I still get answers and insights. I go, of course. Oh my God. I didn't think about that. Or, oh, of course, the moon is, or Mercury is, right? Because I'm an astrologer, but I'm not tracking the transits every single day or every hour of every day. And even if I was, there are still things about my own life that I miss, right? It's much easier to look at somebody else and somebody else's life and see very clearly what's going on for them. When we have to reflect and do it for ourselves, there are blocks everywhere. So those 3 a.m., like sleepless nights, worrying, wondering, considering, that is when this app really does its best work.
When Cheryl is sleeping. Oh, except she's not, because she's in that.
Ask Cheryl, she's always awake. But yeah, and I just think we all need a bit of guidance sometimes, and it's not always convenient, right? And once you've paid for the app, if you upgrade and you pay for the app, I'm not saying don't ever book a consultation with me again, but you don't have to like book a consultation, wait till the next available date. By that point, the crisis has passed. Maybe we're talking about something else. I think the fact that you can get answers there and then at the time when it matters most will help you to move through life differently. Because if not, you just activate the same patterns and you do the same thing over and over again, and expecting a different result, as we know, is insanity.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah,
I'm not saying
super
don't ever book a
excited.
consultation. Like, of course,
Yeah.
it's great to sit with me in consultation. But even if it's not a crisis, even if you're just like, I wonder if I should blah, 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 book a holiday, do this. And the app will be like, yeah, well, Mercury retrograde's coming up. So if you are going to book a holiday, be sure to X, Y, and Z. Right? Why should people know this stuff off the top of their head? You know, I've just met someone, I really like them. Should I date them? Get their birth data, put it in their couple's synastry, you'll get a clear guidance.
Yeah, listen, that's interesting, hey? Asking somebody you just met. So when were you born?
It's a good indicator of whether they're your kind of person or not.
Yep.
Yeah. It's essential. What is your name? Where do you live? Who do you live with?
What time were you born?
Right. Yeah. And if they're not willing to answer,
That's
maybe
the
it's not
form.
your
Please fill
person.
it in. Be as thorough as possible.
Yeah, maybe it's not your person. How tall are you? What's your credit score? What time were you born? Right?
Yeah.
Maybe not even in that order. I'm going for birth time before credit score. Just saying. But yeah, so I just think, you know, this is a way to be of service to some people, hopefully lots of people. But I just think the opportunity that the app gives to anybody, because it's free to go through the purpose prompts and just know what your purpose is. You just have to upgrade for the love and money tabs. But I think the opportunity it gives people is the support you need to just start living in a way that is conducive to who you are and how you were built. I mean, contorting is so exhausting. Like pretending to be a certain kind of person when you're not, it makes you just want to scream. Like, isn't it nice to just like be yourself every day?
Yeah.
It's great. I love being me. And not everybody's going to like me, but that's their problem and none of my business. I
That's a
get to
you
be
problem,
me.
not a me problem. Yeah.
Get to put a yellow tracksuit on, get on to Substack, have a chat with my mates and talk about purpose. And thank goodness I get to do this every day, because I don't know what would have happened to me if I didn't transition out of corporate and start doing work that was really meaningful.
Yeah.
So, and
And
if
we can
you're a
all have it.
Capricorn moon like me, you're always going to work. So at least work in a way that makes you happy, right? If you're a
Always.
person that works hard, you're always going to work hard. But work hard on something that matters to you, that matters to other people, that gives you something back that's fulfilling, right? And I just want to say that it's possible. It is possible. Like, it might seem like there's no way you'll get there. How can you make the jump? How can you transition? You're going to have to compromise. You're going to have to make some sacrifices, but it's worth it in the end, because we're a long time dead until the next life comes calling. Right? So make the most of this one. And as a little warning, the karma you don't resolve in this life, as in where you don't do the work, you just got to come back and do it again. I'd like to come back and do a different life next time. Like, this one's already worn me out, you know? Like, there are some things I don't want to repeat. Just going to be honest. So I'm trying to work on them in this life.
Mm.
So, yeah.
Okay, so we're doing tomorrow night, right? What time and what about?
We are tomorrow night. I don't know what time. I set them up, but I don't remember.
It was 9, I think. Well, I can't.
Is it 9?
Well, I don't. I
UK
think it was
time?
earlier.
Yeah, I
No,
don't
no,
think
no,
it would be
no,
9 because it's pretty
no.
late where you are. So I don't think it would be
Yeah,
that late. But yeah,
yeah.
we'll be back tomorrow to discuss more about not just purpose, but I think we're in the run up to a challenge which starts on the 22nd of June, which is for founder owners. So purpose driven solopreneurs, as in people who are coaches, consultants, advisors, people who are trying to build a practice, build a business in line with their purpose and just keep getting stuck, keep hitting a brick wall, maybe getting confused, feel like they're spinning their wheels. And the idea is that you will not only develop a sellable offer in 5 days, but during that challenge, you'll learn so much about yourself that you'll be able to create offers over and over again based on what you know works for you. So we're going to talk about some of that as well.
Okay, great. And I think it's also, I think you mentioned earlier, for people who may have jobs but are thinking of transitioning into their own practice or doing their own thing. Yeah.
And I
So
think
if
that's
you,
probably who it's going to serve the best, if I'm being
mm,
honest.
mm,
And the reason I say that is if you are so focused on living your purpose that you are working full time and building a practice in your spare time, then you're going to really benefit from getting your offer together in a way that will help you not only attract new customers and start to build your business, but get to that place where your income is strong enough that you can leave that 9 to 5 and focus fully. So I know how hard it is to make that transition of like working full time and studying, because I did it. Or I remember selling, like when I was studying like hypnosis, like selling so part of psychotherapy, like the first like year was like hypnotherapy. And because I hated writing scripts for my homework so much, I started selling them on Fiverr for like $5 and $10 a script. So it would force me to have to write them, right? That's how I practiced. And I developed a whole business selling hypnosis and meditation, recording them. Like there are apps in the world with my voice on them. There are YouTube channels with millions of views with my meditations. But that's how I started. And I was like working big media projects. Like I was like in the States, like all over the place, working on like the golf, PGA tours, like big projects like Super Bowl. And at night, writing hypnosis scripts and meditations and like still studying because I was so determined to leave that world of media. And some people would be like, oh, it was so glamorous. Yeah, it was great hanging out with celebs and all the rest of it. But oh my God, soul destroying, right? It was just not what I wanted to do. So I know what it feels like to be in that place where you're doing both and you're so determined to make that transition that you will make those sacrifices. So if that's where you are, if you're like, I don't know, a Reiki healer, if you're teaching yoga, whatever it is that you want to start as a new practice that needs to attract clients, then you should sign up for the challenge. And I just want to say that for a couple of days, the price has gone down to £97 for the 5 day challenge. It will go back up to 197. So Lois
on the
helped me make
18th, right?
yeah. So Lois
Yeah.
helped me make that decision today. So thank you, Lois. Everybody say thank you, Lois, for getting the price down. I think the idea is that I just want it to be of great value to people. So get it while it's £97. Get on board and learn about yourself, right? Learn what works for you and take that forward, align with your purpose, and just live a life where you're just so fulfilled by what you do every day.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So look
Well,
forward to
thanks to
tomorrow.
everybody who joined. Thanks to everybody
Yeah.
who watches this. The dog
Thank
has
you.
come to say goodnight. Say goodnight, Momo. Oh, gosh.
Remember.
But he's now looking around. Yeah. Okay.
Heard his name.
We're going to take the
Sweet.
dog for a quick walk.
Mm,
But
mm.
thanks for watching, guys. And
Thank
if
you.
anyone's got any questions, please go to the Purpose Code on Substack and just message me, like leave a comment on a post or something. Otherwise, download the app and ask Sheryl there. Okay.
Awesome.
Alrighty. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
See you
Bye-bye.
tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.